15 December 2020, and I'm joined by Ruramai Mash. How are you, Ruramai?
I'm fine, thank you, Angwe. How are you?
Very well. I'm very sorry about the network issues that we had at the beginning, and I wanted us to start at exactly 9 o'clock. But anyway, let's get started. I would like us to give people a view of what has been happening since you traveled to Zimbabwe and whether there are opportunities or not for a young Zimbabwean in Zimbabwe. But let's start with yourself. Who is Ruramai Mash?
Well, I'm a Zimbabwean based in the UK. I love my country so much that I have dedicated maybe 3 years of my time trying to understand the economy's challenges in Zimbabwe as well, the political side. But I'm mainly interested in the economic aspect of the situation, to be fair. So I like to think I'm one of those people who settle back in Zimbabwe. So I've invested my time just to scan the environment and to make people aware of challenges as well as gains within the country.
Okay. You have been speaking a lot about Zimbabwe, about young people being proud of their country. What gave you this view of Zimbabwe?
Well, I ignored Zimbabwe for a very long time in terms of I last came to Zimbabwe in 2011 when my grandfather died. And then I just end up just thinking, let me see what it was like in 2018. And when I got here, the economy was driven by US dollar and people seemed to be economical, getting well. And then things changed in terms of there was a lot of price changes in the shops in terms of the, what do they call it? The bond. There was scarcity of petrol in terms of fuel. There was scarcity of certain things like sugar and so forth. I can't remember, but things did not have a price as it was going, and we were spending more time in queues. The water was not an issue at the time, but it was becoming an issue. There was a lot of money changes, but people were looking forward to the elections.
Okay.
Where we are now, we've kind of like evolved from a country with no currency from the one-to-one issue into trying to navigate into what is the worth of our new currency. So last year, I would say things were a lot cheaper, even though there was no scarcity of the US dollar. However, since the US dollar has been reintroduced into the system, there seems to be an issue in terms of the pricing. So things are more expensive in US dollar terms, because there's a lot of profiteering in Zimbabwe. And that's not really a government issue. That's to do with Ubuntu, right? People like to chase the little money. So when you look at that, it's quite sad because it's us doing it to each other. It's not the government, it's me and you doing it to each other.
Okay. So you stay in the United Kingdom and you've been there for a very long time. How are Zimbabweans living in the United Kingdom?
Well, UK Zimbabweans are, I wouldn't know, I know everyone. Some people go to work, some people mainly are in the health sector. The majority are not in my industry, so I work in IT, so I've got a different worldview from that. But in terms of stability, they do a lot of shifts. They don't have the time to enjoy their lives in the UK as people in Zimbabwe have.
Okay. Would you say most people in the UK want to come back home?
I would say there's a growing number of people who would actually prefer to be in Zimbabwe for their old age. There are some people who've given up on Zimbabwe, But there are certain people who are now thinking of where do I want to spend my retirement age in.
Okay. And in terms of arrivals, are more Zimbabweans coming in? Is it like before, or now we have a stable population of Zimbabweans?
Well, in terms of coming to the UK or coming to Zimbabwe?
Coming to settle in the UK.
Well, there's at the moment there's an exodus of nurses from the UK from Zimbabwe to the UK because of the EU law. So they are trying to steal our nurses again. Those are the people that I've seen coming into Zimbabwe, but the exodus happened in the 2000s. But there's now more of a balance. There's more people returning back home since 2018, I recall. I've met many people who've left the UK to come and settle in Zimbabwe, so they're frequently between two countries.
Okay. And what kind of challenges are Zimbabweans facing in the UK in terms of the way they live there, documentation, raising children, standard of life? What are the issues there for Zimbabweans in the UK?
Well, in terms of most people have now settled in terms of having their visas and everything sorted. It was more of a problem earlier on, but now because of the initiative that the last government made, most people have managed. The ones that haven't, they're still in the system. But then there is a lot of racism in the UK in, how far a Black person can go with their, in terms of their career advances. While as in Zimbabwe, most people could most probably take what they've learned from the UK and adapt it back into Zimbabwe. But the challenges is about, are you willing to walk through thorns? Because it's not the same lifestyle. In terms of you adapt quite easily, but then at the same time, you spend most of your time in terms of the infrastructure in this country is gone dilapidated for a very long time. And you think after 2 years, we should be seeing some room for Harare to be now a center of business, but that's not happening. You see, because of the roads network and stuff. So without actually improving the road networks and in terms of governance of the city, it's not attracting the right kind of people to come and actually settle because there's still a lot of issues.
Okay, so in Zimbabwe, there's issues that are stopping people from coming from the UK to go back home. Yes. But in the UK, how are people living? Do they have their own houses now? Are they living? Do they have cash? Are they living in debt? What is the situation like there?
I wouldn't be able to tell about what people live in their lives. Obviously, UK is a country with job opportunities. So you're more likely to go work as a care work. You can get jobs and stuff like that. There's obviously some people who survive off benefits and stuff. However, Zimbabwe is a cash society whereby you have to live within your means. That's the only difference. In UK, the government gives you a hand. But then that doesn't mean that you're going to alleviate, you're going to go further than what you're given. So some people are actually, settle for living on benefits. But in Zimbabwe, there is opportunities for other people who are struggling in the UK to come and take a footprint in.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking you about how Zimbabweans are living. I'm trying to see whether Zimbabweans have now become part of the society, if they are now participating in that economy, or if they are just immigrants. Where can you place the Zimbabwean community? Right, I think we need to give Ruramai a bit of time. She's having a network issue. There's an electricity outage. So are you back now, Ruramai, with us?
Yes, I am. But I have not been making a study of Zimbabweans in the UK as such, because we live different lives, right?
Yes.
And there are some people who are just leaving for the sake of living, and I wouldn't want to talk about that because, that would be me. But there are certain people who will be better off back home, and there are certain people who like that lifestyle from living from one end to the other. But Zimbabwe is home. I'm not telling anyone to start moving back home. That is a personal decision that you make on your own to think, you know what, I've been living on this island for so long, because UK is an island. Put it whatever, it's got 4 corners on it. And then you actually end up doing the same thing over and over again, but it does not mean you're achieving much in your life. In terms of, I don't know what milestones they have to achieve in their lives, but sometimes because of the gatepost, in terms of ghettoization that we do as Black people, we kind of like live in our own corners. It's not like it's a segregation community.
Okay. Right. I think the UK questions have been answered. And now I want to take it to Zimbabwe. When did you go to Zimbabwe on your current trip? How long have you been there?
I came in November, and COVID was really hurting me in the UK. So I decided to come over just to chill and to find some other things to do while I'm here. Zimbabwe is a bit more free to move about. You don't feel like you're in a prison. So you can still go about your business. And as long as you're wearing a mask in town, or if you enter a public area and stuff like that, there's not much in the sense of, I'm not trying to tell to people that there's no COVID, but in terms of in the streets, people are healthy. And there's less, I would say, people are dying, but they're not dying at the rate of how people were dying in the UK. But there's still movement of people everywhere and stuff. And as well as the Zimbabwean dollar is stabilizing. So we now have fuel. We now have more. I know I'm sitting here with my lamp, but the electricity is no longer an issue. But because of the rains, we actually had an outage because we had lightning and thunder last night. It was very heavy raining. So they will fix the matter. It normally takes about 24 hours, and we'll have electricity by tomorrow.
Okay. What have you done since you came to Zimbabwe? Can you take us through? Have you visited any places? Have you bought stuff? What has been happening?
Well, I tend to walk into my OK Mat, buy food from OK Mat. At first, it was a bit confusing. So I tend to just say, how much is it in US dollar? But then if I look at the price of goods last year, make a comparison, yes, it's a bit more expensive for the usual household. But still people are buying, if you get what I mean. It's not like there's the queues, but there's more food in the shops. There's more produce from Zimbabwe. But there's lack of competition in the retail sector. So you find that there's so much... what's it called, stiff competition, that people just price the same way. If you go into OK, you go into Spar, there's overprice of goods. There's a lack of giving back to the community, to the customers, I find. But there are certain things that are cheaper now, like Red Bull is a lot cheaper than what it was, because it was like $4 last year, but now it's $2. That's my biggest problem is Red Bull. However, cost of alcohol has gone cheaper, like a Castle is a lot cheaper. So is Coca-Cola. Soft drinks are a lot cheaper. Bread is less than a dollar. I think it's about 70 cents. However, the price of meat is more expensive. The price of things like, what you use every day in a grocery, you find that like toiletries are more expensive that I like, but
Okay. Right. As I said, Ruramai is having a bit of network issues because of electricity. So we're constantly going to have these breaks where she's going to freeze. And then I hope that she'll be able to come back.
Right. Are you back? You said it's caused by unstable internet.
Yeah, because of the electricity. That happens to me too when I'm here. If my electricity goes, I have a hard time. And don't feel bad about electricity. Here in South Africa, we had the worst electricity cuts last year, up to stage 4 load shedding. And that is because of poor planning. So it's not only Zimbabwe that has issues.
Okay.
Okay, so we're still talking about
Are
what
you there,
you've done.
Pardon?
Yeah, since November. Have you visited any places? Where have you gone?
Well, I've gone to my favorite neighborhood. I went to Mbare and oh, okay. Can you hear me now? The
Yeah, we can
first
hear
trip
you.
I made, I think, well, it wasn't okay. Mbare is more busier than what it was. There is more people now selling goods, and it's too overcrowded. And what I
Okay, I think let's give it a bit more time. The network is going to continue to go up and down.
okay.
And I think we've totally
Sorry, I had
lost.
to move the router right next to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's people selling things that I think the city council are overlooking, like having wet markets of people selling open meat. That's a danger that's about to happen. You know, it's a health hazard waiting to basically cause a lot of problems. There's sewage everywhere. There's a lot of litter. There's chaos in terms of what for a small area. Mbarumseka used to be nice and lovely, but now it's overcrowded. You don't know whether you're coming or going. Right? There is a need for someone to take over and turn that into a beautiful business hub. That's what it should be. I went to the rural area. I went to Buhera. Oh, no, I didn't go Buhera. Sorry, I'm lying. I went to Murewa. That was lovely, right? People were getting ready for farming. There's greenery everywhere. So we're expecting a bumper harvest.
Okay.
As well. So we have loads of mangoes. We have loads of majanje. We have got loads of, in terms of vegetables, I think this year, they're a lot cheaper to buy tomatoes, onions, and stuff like that. You don't need a lot of money to go to the market. We've got very good fruits markets. So if you go into the market, it's safe to go to Mbare. You can buy all your fruits and vegetables from Mbare. However, in terms of business environment, there needs to be some form of draconian changes in order to make it fit for purpose. Because at the moment, the city of Harare must be losing a lot of money by just leaving that place to rot. It needs to be changed into a very habitable and welcoming environment. And that's not happening. It's getting worse and worse.
Okay. Then I want to, obviously, we need to keep this very short because of our network, but I would like to ask you to come back when as you're in Zimbabwe now. We need to talk more and more. I want to go to the business side.
Mm-hmm.
You know a lot of people in ZANU-PF. That's my assumption, because you always talk positively about the country. Who have you met in ZANU-PF since you were in Zimbabwe?
Well, I've actually been keeping away from politicians for quite a long time because I try not to mix around with them to influence anything, because I'm there as a spectator like every other citizen, right? I listen to what they say and I verify the information that they're saying, because if I say I'm going to actually go, I actually met Eddie Cross.
You did?
Yeah, he's a very nice man, and he was like really nice. They were coming from their breakfast meeting at what's it called, the Mickles, but I just greeted him and I just left him to go. But when you talk about the business world, Harare is supposed to be the business hub, but it's not happening that way. In terms of money, we are shifting from city-led economy into more of a rural-based economy. and I did say this last time, but no one listened to me. There's more money with the rural community than there are with the city dwellers, right? City dwellers concentrate on selling. They have basically missed out on opportunity in terms of manufacturing and building more of a value chain addition to what is being made in terms of the mining industry and so forth. I was supposed to go to Vic Falls, but I basically cancelled it because of Christmas. However, I'm still scanning the environment, but what I've noticed, the mining sector is basically pulling the economy at the moment in terms of the gold reservoirs that we're getting. But there's still work to be done in other sectors, in terms of the agriculture. But if you look at the agriculture, the farmers are doing their bit. However, the city people who need to start looking at the warehouses and other ways of value additions are left in poverty. So there's more poverty with the city people than there are with the rural base.
Okay. Personally, I feel that there is a missed opportunity if we were to leave Zimbabwe without meeting the big politicians, the big players in business. You are one of the young people that have been very vocal. Since I knew you back in 2017, you've been talking positively about the country. I would at least have expected you to meet Nick Mangwana.
He's my friend, Nick. I don't need to meet him.
Yeah, but you're in Zimbabwe now. I would expect you to meet Nick Mangwana, John Mangunja, Mutuli Ngube, at the minimum, those three people.
I would like to meet, well, Nick is not very important. I would actually like to meet John Mangunjwa and Professor Ngube and tell him about my other ideas, because I feel that without innovation, we're letting ourselves down. Without putting the money in the cities and developing Harare to be the hub that it's supposed to be, at the moment, we're decaying the city.
Okay, and then I expect you to
friendly.
Yeah, I expect you to meet Chamisa. You talk about Chamisa most of the time. You criticize his ideas.
He hasn't got any.
Yes, that's what I mean. Because you're a very vocal person, you got a platform. If I was to come to Zimbabwe now, I would at least try to meet all these people. Hopo Chingono, have you met Hopo Chingono?
He blocked me off Twitter. He used to be my friend, when he was part of ZANU-PF, but now he doesn't like us anymore. But I'm not even ZANU, but what I'm saying is, there's still time. I need to make my own judgment by meeting people that make you go with their own arguments. There's still time to scan the environment. I've only been here for a month, and most of the time it's been meeting people in town, but it's not a busy. If you look at the business industry in Zimbabwe, you have to follow the money, right? It's not my business. The politicians do not know business. It's up to you to identify the key areas that needs to be improved, that needs help from the government in terms of places that we've ignored, like CSO. We need to grow our construction industry, right? By looking at the roads. What is the innovation for us to have better roads? Proposing those by looking at things that can solve the issues, rather than saying, well, let me meet, Nube and tell him this and that. He knows what is the problem, but no one tells him the answers, do they?
Okay, but I think if for Mutuli Ngube, if we were to walk to his office, you'll be able to get a meeting. And someone like Fadzai Maher, a spokesperson for the MDC, Kudamsa Siwa, is running a farm in Harare. You know why I'm saying this to you? Because you're on the ground.
I know all these people, though.
But you're representing all of us. Esi Lumumba, these are the people that we want you to talk to these people, and we want to get a feel of what's happening on the ground.
I can talk to them for you, but I like to scan the environment by talking to the right people on the ground. I was in Glenora the other day, Glenview, where people who manufacture on a small scale, asking them about their business ideas, how they want to grow. I can speak to Kuda about how he exploits other people who actually are farmers and selling their things for more money and giving them nothing. That doesn't help the ordinary people on how to develop better industries, sustainable industries that will suit the whole country so other people can actually get a job in the end. Not something that's just here for the short term, but long-term goals. Because I'm a business student, and I believe by me talking to the right people and looking at things, innovation, and looking at how you can help a business that are, manufacturing on a small scale and asking them how they can get other customers in order to employ other young people, because that's where the missing link is, right? Because without those SMEs growing, we will not be able to employ anyone. I learned this from business. The only thing that you have to concentrate on is the SMEs in order to give them a shoulder so that they can actually grow to be international or multi-international companies that can provide goods for the whole of SADC. The Zimbabwe needs to be looking more towards exporting its goods to its neighboring countries. We are a country that can be turned into a hub for manufacturing because we are in the middle. We share 4 borders with other countries, but we're not taking advantage of those. We actually are just going to import goods when we should have lorries coming out with goods that are needed in other countries. We are not looking at it in the right way. So I'm there to talk to the right people, not to people who actually come and exploit other people on Facebook. It's there. There's so many business people who don't come on Facebook, who are doing well, that need help in order to grow their businesses. That's where I think I stand in terms of that. I can actually go and talk to other people and say, have you spoken to these other people? But it doesn't help for me to actually have people poison my mind.
Don't you think as Zimbabweans, we need to, at some point, come back to our own country? How do you think the millions of Zimbabweans that are outside the country are going to finally make their way back to the country?
I don't think that is possible. It's not a forcing matter. It's a matter of a decision on your own if you want to grow. I mean, Ireland, for instance, Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland is a country that is grown on immigrants, right? Nigeria, for instance, is a country that's grown on immigrants or people migrating to other countries, right? We cannot force people to stay in a country that they feel like it's let them down. It's up to the ones who wants to make a difference for the ones who left behind. Zimbabwe's got more younger kids growing within it that will live. We're losing our, human capital. We need to harness that human capital in order to build with it. We cannot force people to come back. We can only build with what is here and the ones who are willing to help the country. If you're still happy in South Africa, there's nothing stopping anyone saying come back to Zimbabwe. It's a decision that needs to be made. Robert Mugabe forced many people to leave the UK in 1980. Those are the people who are now suffering with their kids going out. We shouldn't force people. It's either if you've got a purpose and you want to be back here, that's fine. Because we're living in a global market. We can't say to someone, come back, but there's no opportunities for you here. So it's better to force people who are innovative, who see the goods and the value, who can come and scan the environment and say, you know what, I'm a surgeon. I should be able to come back and be able to do operations and be able to be living off my people. I'm a doctor. What is missing in our environment that we need? But it comes from the heart, the love you have for your country. That cannot be enforced by someone.
Okay. So you know what I suggest we do? I suggest that when you're still in Zimbabwe, you meet a few more people, and when you manage to set up those appointments, we have a quick, short discussion together. I can add up to 10 people on this kind of broadcast, because when I look at you broadcast almost every night, sometimes more than once, and the clarity you have, the clarity that I see you with of how Zimbabweans have the wrong mentality, that is very touching to me. Every time I listen to you, I can hear that message that you're saying the Zimbabweans have got the wrong mentality, especially the young ones. But now that you're in Zimbabwe, I obviously would love to see you interacting with people on the ground. And you know what
I will
happens
show
to me?
you.
When I come to Harare,
Yeah.
you know what happens to me? I drive into Harare. I go and park at is it Eastgate or the mall there? I go and park and then I walk into town. I get so busy,
Yeah.
I end up failing to meet anybody. And
I
it will be
don't.
said you become like me.
No, I don't
I'm
fail
still
to meet
pressing you.
people. I just the networking in Zimbabwe is a matter of listening to the debates and stuff like that. But they're close quarters of people who keep on making the same arguments over and over again. And they repeat themselves like a broken record, but they're not the answers. Because, you know, once, have you ever been, I work in projects, right? When you enter a project, people who've been working on it don't know that they're actually starting a rut. When it's actually, they don't have the solutions for Zimbabwe because they're stuck in the rut. They need someone else to see it from a different angle that they're not looking at it. You know, however, it's a matter of looking at, scanning the environment is about looking at different industries to see where the economy is actually going to make gains. But at the same time, development of the cities is required. The road structure, there's money being lost on the streets because of the road network is poor, right? Cars are now spending more billions of dollars fixing cars. That money can go back into fixing the roads. Than me fixing my car outside. All those things needs to be addressed because that is turning away businesses. No one is going to put trucks on the roads if the roads are in disarray. You know, potholes everywhere is not really good for business. However, if you get those fundamentals correct.
Yeah, but don't you think you should be saying this to someone who is in power, someone who can change things? Because
yes,
the reason why I'm saying this to you is we've been talking out here for a long time in the diaspora. I started my channel in 2013. You started a bit later than me. We talk a lot, but when it matters most to engage with the authorities, do you engage with the authorities? You support Idi Mnangagwa's government. You don't speak against them. You don't insult them.
I do.
Why are you not able
I actually
to
criticize?
Yeah, but in a positive way. You don't fight ZANU-PF. You don't call for sanctions. You know, you're someone who can.
Sanctions must go. Sanctions must go, right? And I believe so. I'm there to give positive criticism where it's required. I don't have to be getting angry because that doesn't get you anywhere. It hasn't got MDC 20 years. There needs to be some form of balance in what is for the people, right? Fighting ZANU-PF does not give potholes off the road. It does not. We need to understand, we need to communicate, and we need to be meeting halfway. This city is ours. We live here. People will die, right? Needlessly, with no hospitals. We need to understand humanity. We need to understand WONU, right? If we do not understand each other and we disrespect each other and we lie against each other, that does not build a nation that has respect for each other. People just turn off, just like now. If you say, why don't I fight ZANU-PF? Why should I fight my own people who are in Zimbabwe?
Okay.
Who wants to know about gender violence, right? Why would I find, why would I fight my own people in the ground and say, you know what, keeps the sanctions going? Sanctions has made us into a cash society, which stops us from investing in our development. We are basically using all our cash cows in order just to keep ourselves balanced. But if we actually say, you know what, maybe there's corruption as well as a problem. Everyone is corrupt, not just the government. MDC is corrupt, ZANU-PF is corrupt, and the ordinary people on the street are corrupt. There's normally the corruptors and the corruptees. We all have to look at each other and think, you know what, we are not being fair to one another. Do you know? We all want to be at the front of the queue. No one wants to join the back of the queue. We corrupt even petrol attendants.
Okay, so let's go back to my question about meeting the people that matter. Do you think they would give you a chance to meet them? And especially, let's say you walk right now to ZANU-PF head office. Do you think they will talk to you?
Oh yeah, I've been invited to ZANU-PF head office to speak to the youth once, but I didn't go myself because I wasn't ready. But I think now I'm more mature and able to know what I want. Yes, I would go and speak to them. I'm not really a person. I would speak to MTC. If I was speaking to Mayor Gomba, but I didn't go meet him because I got busy in my own personal life. But he wanted to help in terms of looking at the city. He wanted me to help him with that, but I didn't really, he didn't know what he was doing. But even now, if they have a better mayor, I will go and speak to him and show him where, you know, we need to start small gains. We don't have to start big. We need to start with the small areas, improving areas. You know, we've got a lot of human capital that can be, you know, utilized in order to make the city great again. We don't need every road to be tarred. We need just the major road to be tarred, and the rest can use human capital to make them better and cleaner, a safe environment for our kids who are going to school in dilapidated whatever classrooms. There's a sense of no one cares about the environment that they live in. That has to, even if you look at Borodo now,
yeah,
it's going the same way. There's only Highlands is nice. There's no potholes in Highlands. But if you walk through Borodo now, it's sad. So there's no safer place anymore. So there's nowhere any rich person can hide anymore. Because they're meeting the same things that...
you. But I think that these are very big issues. Like,
no,
I don't think even 10 years can fix the infrastructure issues in Zimbabwe.
That's where you're wrong. Everything has to start with communicating. You need to start engaging each other, respectful about the issue, not about political, ideology. We need to start looking at each other as like neighbors, friends, people who go to funerals together, and start talking from there. It's not about politics, it's about the environment that we are destroying, right? By doing nothing and saying 10 years, there'll be no streets left. There'll be no cars. There'll be more street crime. We're bringing out criminals, right? Because there's no opportunity. We can take those youth and help them resurface the roads and turning their communities into better hubs, you know? But by saying that 10 years, you're actually letting people off. This is the time to change our mindsets. This is the time to love one another, not to look at the political side, but just look at your neighbor next door.
Okay.
Look at the kids on the streets. Recognize there's an issue here. There's no point of us lying to each other. It's a political issue. No, it's a damaged society that needs to love each other and love oneself.
Okay, so you know what? I want to do two things. The first thing I want to do is, if you ever pass through South Africa, I want to personally take you through similar areas to Zimbabwe. Mm-hmm. I bet you are going to be surprised that South Africa is in many ways worse off than Zimbabwe. I was recently in Mozambique.
That for a long time.
Yes, I was recently in Mozambique. Yes. That is in September. I was in Mozambique. It's a very developed country, more than probably most of the countries in Southern Africa, but the majority of the people are not doing well. So there is a place where I wanted to take you, which is, as someone with a platform, a lot of people watch you and listen to you. You may not know this, but thousands of people watch you, and they want to move you from Facebook to interacting with the people that matter. For example, myself, I don't bother myself contacting an MDC person or an opposition politician. If I was to go into Zimbabwe now, what I would want would be to talk to a politician that is in office, a government official. And I'm still pushing to see if you're going to do that, because that would be very interesting to me.
You know what happens? I normally send people to those ministers. I've got all their phone numbers. My friends call me and say, do you have this Minister of Health? Do you have the minister of this? I've got all these people's phone numbers in my phone. I tend to criticize them publicly so they can say that, you know what, why did you say this, and change their patterns. But for me to have a meeting with a minister, yes, that would be great, but I have to choose. I would like to have a meeting with the lady who's in charge of SMEs at the moment and enterprise, because I think she's making a mistake in her whole approach, right? But that's a different story. My areas of interest are very limited. I like to have a meeting with the mining minister because I feel that his website lets him down, and I don't feel like there's a lot of tangible figures on his website that actually encourages that to be a 10 billion industry in the next by 2030. So I want to know where he ended up, because there's so much data that is missing, that is not put in front of people. There's a lot of things that are said when it's gone right, but we can all help each other. But I don't think everything we can help each other if we try to concentrate on the ministries. It's about changing the people. I know I get into trouble when I question things with my husband, because I tend to be very direct to the police officer, and then they go, okay, this is a different way. No one has ever approached me like that. People fear asking for what is right for them. People should have the right to decent water, decent streets, beans being picked on the street, kids going to school, you know, a decent meal. Those are the human rights that needs for people to know what is their right, who is in charge of this, who demolished my house, why were they demolishing my house, why am I building on the wrong land, what is the right way for me to know that I'm being duped from building a house and then someone comes and demolishes it. Information needs to be streamlined so people can know their rights. That's more important than speaking to a minister who's just going to fog me off because the powers lie in a different place. Ministers are just there as an administrator. They don't change much in Zimbabwe, but people need to know and understand, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing as a citizen? Am I supposed to be throwing litters everywhere? Why do I have, who am I supposed to complain to if I got sewage running? So forth.
Okay.
Those are things that are important in speaking to ministers.
Okay, so you know what? I think we should agree to disagree when I come to Zimbabwe, which is very soon. What I want to do, I want to make an impact, but I don't want to make an impact that is away from government policy. I want to influence government policy in Zimbabwe. If I'm in the entertainment industry, I want the entertainment industry and the minister who is responsible. Yes. So if you have an opportunity, I want to beg you to meet the authorities in Zimbabwe, because most of our young people are afraid of interacting with the government. They think that if you interact with the government, you're now ZANU-PF, and then it's a problem. I don't think it's a problem. If you come to South Africa here, young people are getting money to start companies from the government. I guess it's the same thing in the UK. No one ever says, why did you get money from the UK government to start your business? Yes. So since you are already there, this is where I'm pushing you. If you're able to, let's see. I've tried to talk to government ministers in Zimbabwe. Most of them don't even respond to you. If you say, I want to talk to you, I want to have a meeting with you, they do not want to meet you. Or
you're
if they meet you, I'm not a journalist. I'm a media company owner. There is a journalist who goes and records the news. There's a journalist who is working for somebody. I started a company from nothing, which is doing media. So it's different, and I expect the ministers in Zimbabwe to say, when they are developing policy, who do we consult in this sector? I expect a call from a government minister. Similarly, yourself, you have established yourself, you've created a platform, and you're in Zimbabwe, and no one has talked to you in government. I find that strange. Okay, I don't want to put
but
in
if
a
I
phone.
want them, I can get them. But I've got Nick
No,
McWalla's
you
phone
should get
number,
them.
but it doesn't
You should
mean
get
that
them. You
he
know
has
why
the
you should get them?
powers to change.
You should get him. You should get Nick at least if you know him. You should get him because he's from overseas. He lived overseas for a long time. He knows the importance of interacting with young people.
Yeah.
I don't know why government would not interact with young people, especially young people like yourself who've got a voice.
I don't know either, but then the government we have is on a different trajectory in terms of what they think is important. You know, I suppose, to me, business does not come from the government. Innovation does not come from the government. Economy does not come from the government. You need to give the power back to the people. I'm not talking about political power. I'm talking about the economy power, right? And the government cannot build economies. They can take a credit for it within their time, but it's for people who are business minded to be able to help those business to grow in order to help them give more jobs. So if I speak to a minister, it's not like it's a top down, but I believe in a bottom up situation whereby we make ends with the people on the ground, right? And then the government will talk to us when we're in a powerful position with the people. You know, there's no point of saying, when I come into government, I'm going to help you. Start helping the communities to grow them now, because it's the bottom up that's actually is the problem, the challenges. The top up is fine because they only look at figures. They don't look at, they can't fix everything. They're going to fix what is fixable for them in their portfolio.
Okay. Have you gone to Mount Hampden, the new city that is being built around Harare?
Yeah, I've been to Hayden, what's it called? Hayden Park. I've been to I last went there when it was still being built. Up the top and stuff is beautiful. I think that'll be where they're going to put more effort in building a better city, but I don't know how that's going to plan out. It's still too early to say how they're building the houses, because there's a problem at Santon because someone else is fighting for the land. You know, so people are going to get their houses demolished. I don't know what the city plan is for the new city. I have got no clue. It's just being earmarked as a new city. So I'm not sure what are the strategy for bringing people into that city. What are the business areas that need to be in city? So all those questions need to be answered by whoever is in charge of that portfolio. But I wouldn't know. Do you know?
Well, I haven't been to Zimbabwe in a very long time. I was last in Zimbabwe the week of the coup. So that was in 2017, November. That was the last time I went to. Soon after, I went there to see what was happening. And I thought they had a good opportunity there to restart everything. And I think things went wrong. After a year, I went back to Zimbabwe and I was carrying South African rands. And no one wanted to take my South African rands. I was surprised to see that. So I realized the economy was going the wrong way because of the exchange, the medium of exchange, the currency was an issue there at that time.
Well, so, people love their US dollar to the point of forgetting that it's not their money. We need to stabilize our money. When we stabilize our currency and let people forget about the US dollar, it's going to take a long time. It's like having a drug addiction, because if we've lost on the value of the US dollar more than what is the value of building their own economy. This is where the confusion is. Zimbabweans are addicted to money in the third world, makes them poorer, which makes other people poorer because it's only in the hands of a few. However, it's a mindset thing again, right? Okay, so we need to have that from the ministry of, from Nube himself. You know, sometimes I get confused whether he's the Ministry of Finance or he's a charity guy or whatever, right? And to be disciplined and so forth in order for us to understand where the country's going and carry the little man on the street with him, which is difficult because most people are don't care. They don't interact with the government anymore. They just live in their own little world. That's where only a few people are attached to jobs and so forth. It's not the same anymore.
Okay, I think
I can't hear you. The volume is gone.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I think we're having a network issue again, so we need to wrap it up. I'm sorry, guys. People are enjoying you. People are enjoying you talking about this. So unfortunately, our sound is gone. If you can hear me, please just say you can hear me. Let's see if it's on Ruramai's side or on my side.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, let's just get comments from the people who are watching if they can hear.
Can't hear you.
All right. So I'm going to write a comment here. Right, Ruramai is gone. I think she's trying to sort out a network. She is in Zimbabwe and there's no electricity in the area where she is. It's very unfortunate because I really wanted to go deeper into what kind of business she wants to go into in Zimbabwe. I think someone who supports ZANU-PF policies and programs on social media defends a lot of what the government is doing. When they get to Zimbabwe, they need to be given an opportunity to meet the people that she's talking about, to influence policy in Zimbabwe, and also to communicate the feedback that she's getting from the public about ZANU-PF policies. But unfortunately, it seems like Ruramai is gone. She's not able to hear me, and I hope everyone who is here is able to hear me, and I'm not talking to myself. Okay, Precious is saying we can hear both of you. I think the issue is on her side, so we have to do this again. I'm going to invite her again sometime this weekend. And in fact, we've got a full program this week. There is the Extraordinary Congress of the MDCT on Saturday. And tomorrow, we're going to be having Secretary General Douglas Monzora. He's going to come back. We're going to talk to him. On Thursday, we're going to have someone else. On Friday, we're going to have Senator Elias Mzuri. He's going to come here and talk to us. I hope Dr. Thokozani Kupe will be able to make it, come and talk to us. I'm still arranging. She's somewhere where she cannot connect. So unfortunately, I won't be able to have it. I don't have a confirmation from Dr. Thokozani Kupe. And then on Saturday, we're going to be having someone talking about the prophets. So what is happening with the prophets? I've got a surprise guest, someone who will be talking about what is happening with the prophets and all the scandals that are coming. And then on Sunday, we're going to be talking about the war in Mozambique. There's an outbreak of insurgency in Mozambique. So we're going to have someone coming here to talk to us. I hope that I'll get someone from the military, someone who knows war, so someone knows about war. Then we really have a proper discussion of what is happening there. Unfortunately, I don't seem to have Ruramai back, so I'll arrange for her to come back. I would like to thank everyone who was watching today. It's very, very interesting. If you're also in Zimbabwe and you're traveling from another country, you can WhatsApp me and we'll get to talk about the experience. But I think we have to end it here. And thank you very much for joining this discussion. It's been a very interesting discussion with Ruramai Mash, and I hope to bring her here more often. Thank you very much to everyone, and good night.